Hey, it's Sherene Vismaya in India, and I wanted to just make this quick video about the new moon in Gemini. I'm talking a little quiet because it's after hours here, and I'm the only night owl in India, but since I have the new moon insomnia, I was like, let me make a video. So part of this kind of intensity of this dark moon has been the square to Mars in Pisces. So that has caused a little bit of a stormy feeling and maybe an emotional feeling for what would otherwise normally be a pretty, maybe more airy Gemini moon, more intellectual moon. So what we have during this phase is the seed level of wherever Gemini is in your chart, and where you have early planets in mutable signs, like up to like the first few degrees in a mutable sign is where you're really feeling this energy. So look to where you have Gemini, Pisces, Sag, or Virgo planets quite early, between 0 and 4 especially. You're going to be feeling this new moon. And it's a precursor for what's going to unfold over the next 6 months. So we have to watch to see what's actually going to come up for us over the next, what will play out for us over the next 6 months. And, you know, I had been saying, I just did a live with my friend Gad Cohen. We were just talking about how I had a sense that there was a foreboding energy with that square to Mars, that we don't want to jump the gun with impulsive behaviors, and we could link that to like the reopenings in some ways. I mean, I don't want to get into controversial territory, but I do think it's better to err on the side of caution right now. So even if we are reopening, still to take all the necessary precautions, and just in other areas in our life, like just to look out for where we might have those addictive pitfalls, and not to rush into action that could take us back down into addiction or self-destructive or self-undoing behaviors with that square to Neptune. And it can also feel a bit foggy with this Neptune energy, because we're really in that cloud, that illusion, that lack of focus that Gemini really likes to have. Gemini likes to be a little more sharp and on point, and then the square with Mars and Pisces makes everything a little more blurry and obscured. So we're finding our way with that, and it can also be very creative, though. It can be a very creative aspect, a very visionary aspect, a very mystical aspect with the Pisces Mars, which we'll be in for the next 5 weeks, this Mars and Pisces energy. It's better to use the energy on a higher octave of moving into more of the sublime, divine side of Pisces, instead of the addictive, escapist side, you know, or paranoid side of Pisces. So we're going to, of course, see both, because we're in Gemini season, so we're going to see the dark and the light of everything, the duality. We're going to see a lot of the, you know, the doubles, the inverse, converse, dual nature of life with this Gemini energy. So we have to really look at our own shadow during this time. I'm just about to launch this, or begin, it's actually launched, you can register for it now, but we're going to start tomorrow, this PLUTO journey. It's a 4-week journey, a really intense, deep shadow dive I'm doing with my sister astrologer, Christina Caudill. She's an evolutionary astrologer from Radiant Astrology. She put on this fantastic summit with all-female astrologer. It was pretty phenomenal, called the Astrology of Awakening, over the Easter weekend. And so we reconvened to work on this PLUTO project together, where we're really delighted to finally do this deep shadow work over the course of 4 weeks. So it's going to be a video segment course with lots of homework and PDFs and tarot spreads and all kinds of additional supplemental material that you can use to further your soul work. But the teachings will be through video, so you'll get 2 videos a week from each of us, along with the PDFs and the homework. And then you can do it on your own timing, of course, but that's for the Pluto retrograde that started a few weeks back. And of course, we're in pretty strong retrograde territory. See, speaking of case in point there, making it hard to sometimes go forward with things. We have the Pluto first started this story of the retrograde, then Saturn last week, and then right after Saturn was Venus, and then right after Venus was Jupiter. So we're just getting that recalibration happening now. It's going to take a little while for us to really find our ground again, because it's a lot of reversal right now. There's a lot of reverse, there's a lot of reflection, review, rebirth, renewal, and probably even some repeat performance, repeat experiences coming up. So just look to where you have to retrace your own steps and reflect in a deep way. Since there's so many planets retrograding back to back, it's a time of deep reflection. So I think rather than go put the focus so much on going out, let's go inward. So that might help us to not feel like we have to be pushing things so much into the outside, because it's not quite the right timing, at least on a soul level, you can say. We still need to do some deep inner work before we're going to really get the lessons of the last 6 months since this eclipse, in the Christmas eclipse in December. We need time to still process everything that's happened to us with this pandemic. I mean, it's something we could have never seen coming in a million years. I mean, well, of course the scientists say they saw it coming, but meaning I don't think anybody could have really imagined the intensity of the way the world just shut down. I mean, even though everyone said, yeah, we knew this was going to come, it was a matter of time. At the same time, I don't think any of us were, let's put it this way, I don't think any of us were psychologically prepared for this, this level of a seemingly overnight shift of our world, or the complete world. I mean, it happened, it's a global situation where suddenly we're, life as we've known it is no more. So it's been a collective death that we're still processing. That's also why I felt it was so important to do this Pluto work right now. And we're all having to confront the archetype of death. I mean, it's not just an archetype, it's a reality. But what that means for us personally, psychologically, our relationship to time, how that's impacted our relationship to time and our priorities and what's essential, and having to look at all of that. So it's a real awakener, and it's got us all standing on edge. It's like we can't go back to sleep now. That's the danger. We just cannot go back to sleep. There's too much at stake. The stakes are too high. So we have to use the intelligence of this Gemini new moon to rewrite the stories with Venus retrograde in Gemini, rewrite the narratives of how we do Venus, how we love, how we relate, how we connect, and our value system, how we accumulate, how hopefully we will stop accumulating things we don't need, stop wasting our time on pursuing desires that we don't really need, that aren't even good for us, and just looking at what's essential. I think this is the big lesson. And so the Gemini influx right now, with so many planets in Gemini, and the North Node, or Rahu, having just gone into Gemini recently, there's a big emphasis on our ability to use our intelligence and not buy into the false news and the fake stories, and to fact check everything, and to know that we're getting mixed messages a lot of times, and gossip and things that might not be true, and we've really got to fact check, triple fact check everything going forward. And I reposted this meme where it was like a picture of Prince, and then it had some crazy statement that wasn't true, and then it said, from Bob Dylan, drummer of Metallica. I mean, that kind of craziness is what's going on. People just making stuff up, and we have to really check everything now, because we're going to be getting so many different stories. So let's use this new moon, wherever it falls in your horoscope, to look at the story you want to rewrite, the story you want to tell, and what you want to believe in, ultimately. Like, make sure you do your background checks on everything, especially with the square to Mars and Pisces, because the illusion or disillusionment could prove to be dangerous. You know, if we don't have all the facts and we don't do the research, we don't double check everything, triple check everything, the illusions are potentially catastrophic if we don't really keep our eyes wide open right now, is what I would say, going forward with this new moon in Gemini. So thanks so much for watching. I'll make a longer video when I can talk louder.